Welcome back to WRPL. It's a podcast where we talk about all the things we were watching, reading, playing, and listening to. My name's Ben.
And I'm Steve.
How's it going, Steve?
It's going well, Ben. I've watched the most amount of movies in a week that I have
in a very
long time.
Yeah. And it's not even that much, you know?
No. This was light work a few years ago, but now...
with responsibilities and adulthood.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, pretty lame. Well, because of this being a dog shit weekend for new releases, and I'm sure none of us wanted to see Hit Pig, we're skipping anything new, and we're going to do a classic segment that we haven't done in I don't know how long. I think it may be only our third time doing it.
I'm sure our fan was clamoring to get it back.
Yeah. Nick, were you clamoring? Welcome back, Nick.
I sure was, and thank you.
So we each, the rules of this is just we each give each other movies to watch. We watch them and talk about them. It gives us a chance to, watch this fucking thing that I've recommended so many times and people refuse to watch. Well, now you gots to. All right, so we're going to start with Steve's pick. Steve, what did you make us watch?
I made you guys watch The Peanut Butter Falcon. I think this might have been my number 2 favorite movie of the year it came out, or definitely in the top 10.
What, 2019?
Usually I'm pretty good about it. I don't remember. Let's say 2019. Yeah, and I'd be curious to see if you guys enjoyed it. I know it's not typically, I think, either of your things.
Yeah, it's not a genre movie.
But the main reason I picked it was because you guys Ben, you kept hounding me about picking a movie, and I'm like, this is a thing I like. Well, maybe you guys like it.
We were supposed to record days ago, and it was Saturday. Okay, if you're gonna have a movie, I need to watch it right now, and you're just him and hawed the whole time.
But I want you to know, I was going on Random Movie Generator and I was going through all these movies because I don't know. I'm pretty sure Ben has seen this, and because you have seen far more movies than I have.
Sure.
Because you're a nut job.
I have a lot more time than you do. And I also have 10 years on you, so,
that's true, too.
I've had all this extra time.
Hey, 9.5 or...
I think it's
actually
9 and 11 months, really, because your birthday is exactly a month after mine.
Yeah.
So...
Sure.
Yeah. That may be 10 years and 1 month, actually. It may be the other way. I don't know how to do math. So... Yeah, of all the things, you've recommended that piano movie with Elijah Wood
Grand
before.
Piano.
Do you remember the other one?
I don't. I remember you didn't like either of my picks.
Yeah.
I'm just trying to keep that streak going. But Grand Piano was not one where I was so passionate about I really love this movie. It's just I think it's a really cool how they did it. And I thought it's kind of a thriller. I thought it'd be more up your alley. So I was shocked when you didn't.
Under the radar, never had heard of it.
I just thought it was a perfectly good small movie. Mm-hmm. And then you recommended, I don't know if it was the same time, but you did Open Windows.
I did Open Windows,
which
and I think
isn't a good movie at all.
No.
But it's a fun execution.
But it's a fun watch. Yeah. And I think the first time I did it, I gave you Freak. Or Freaks.
Oh yeah,
Freak. Yeah, but I can't remember what you gave me for that one.
Doesn't matter.
Yeah, whatever. If only I had internet access. So
we do this from a bunker.
Okay, so I looked it up. Our first episode was Open Windows, and you gave me the wrong Missy.
Was it to be rude?
Absolutely to be rude. That's
well, I think if I remember correctly in that episode, I misunderstood the assignment. It was make me watch. I was supposed to pick something you would hate.
Watch.
Yeah.
And then you gave me something actually enjoyable.
Yeah.
So then the next time I went, I tried to pick something I thought you would like, and I failed.
Well,
but the wrong Missy was supposed to be bad.
And it very much was. This is actually our 4th time doing it. So second episode, you gave me Paddington, and I gave you Freaks.
Oh, okay.
There's another Paddington coming out.
Yeah, Paddington 3 is coming
pretty
too. Soon. Which, I didn't care for Paddington 1. I get why kids would like it. I don't know why people love it.
I skipped it, but I hear they're all good.
Yeah. And then episode 3 was Grand Piano and Daybreakers. I made you watch Daybreakers.
Oh, yeah.
So I forgot about that. But anywho,
you're on a winning streak, Ben. I'm on a losing streak. I have a feeling it stays that way.
Well, I guess we'll see. Let's talk about Peanut Butter Falcon, a story of a young man with Down syndrome with dreams of becoming a professional wrestler breaks out of a retirement home where he is forced to live because he has no friends or family, so the government had to stick him there, and then comes across Shia LaBeouf, who is kind of on the run as well because he's a scumbag stealing crab traps, and the guys he's stealing from are coming after him. So they bond together and try to take us on a road trip of exploration and love and friendship.
That's a pretty accurate representation.
Oh yeah, and Dakota Johnson's there on their tails.
Dash of Dakota.
Yeah. I didn't hate this movie.
Okay.
You know, that's it's not my thing.
Mm-hmm.
It's not anything I would go to the theater for. Even was it up for any awards?
No, I think there might have been some like early talks, but never really happened.
Yeah, this is something I'd skip, and I won't say like, man, I made the wrong choice. This is one of the new greats or anything. Mm. This is a perfectly fine movie, a good little story about accepting people and knowing limitations and not setting limitations on people. I wish Shia LaBeouf was a little worse, and then he grew. It's like he's doing bad stuff, but he was kind of almost instantly endeared to this guy after the first sort of like, don't follow me, get out of here. Picks him back up and automatically he likes him. I wish he kind of maybe really didn't like this kid and maybe even had a prejudice against people with Down syndrome and then could learn as he goes. Because and I wish they had more actual conversations. My main problem is all the growth they have is with montages set to music, and you don't hear any good conversations. There's one about him telling him, like, you're not going to be a swimmer, you're not going to be a basketball player, you got to know what you're good at, and you're strong as hell, so wrestling is perfect. And I wish maybe Shia LaBeouf learned something from him, like if the Zach character really didn't like the stealing part. Like he obeyed the rules to a certain degree, and then when he finds out that, you're taking from people, that's not cool. People take stuff from me all the time. And then, they could grow a little bit more, but it was just like they're instantly endeared to each other. But that'd be really the only thing I'd change about it. Nick, what'd you think about it?
I liked it. I would say this probably is my kind of movie. I would say I like a slice of life type movie like this. It's very short, which I appreciate. Yeah. Everything you said, I would probably agree with. I do wish there was some more conversations between them. Mm-hmm. I want to see what's the world from someone with Down syndrome, what's from his perspective, and I don't know. I don't think we get any of that really. Yeah, I do wish their bond had been built a little bit more for us as an audience. I kind of like the ending, I will say. I like how it ended. I like the Dakota Johnson character. Mm-hmm. I don't know if I buy her falling for Shia LaBeouf. Yeah, this disgusting grubby fisherman guy who's on the run from people, has absolutely nothing to offer. Yeah. But I'm not saying that to slight the movie. I still liked her character, and it would have been a lesser movie, I think, without her. I don't know, just the little scene at the end where you kind of think he died, maybe, and he just kind of pops up from the back seat and puts his arm over the seat. I like that little moment. I don't know the legalities of any of this. They're taking him to Florida, and did she quit her job? Are they gonna send the police after her? Yeah, I know that's not important, but she was supposed to bring him back. Yeah, so. Yeah, like you said, it's not important. I'm sure the people who made the movie would say, not important. That's not the point of this. Yeah, but I mean, overall, I liked it. I don't know if it's one I would revisit. It was one that I kind of wanted to watch, so I'm glad that Steve recommended it when he said it. I was like, oh, I know that's a shorter movie. I know that's a movie I wanted to watch and never got to, so cool. And I had no problems watching it, and I enjoyed it for the most part. And now that I've seen it, I won't get this and Eddie the Eagle mixed up. Two bird title movies, very different, but I always got them mixed up.
Steve, since you did you rewatch it for this or?
I did not. I would like to. I own it. I just remember really enjoying, because I don't think they make a lot of good feel-good movies.
Okay.
And it was nice that this one was simple, and it could have been worse with it could have easily been an indie film with like no recognizable names, and maybe that could have been to its
Thomas Hayden Church as well.
Yeah, Thomas Hayden Church is in it.
Yeah, John Hawkes, John Barenthal, a good supporting cast.
Dern.
Nebraska dude.
Yeah, Laura Dern's dad.
That guy
is Bruce Dern is the roommate. Like, it was Mick Foley was the wrestling referee. Jake the Snake Roberts was the guy he wrestled.
That's Mankind, right?
That's Mankind.
Uh-huh.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah, like a little hidden supporting cast.
Yeah. And I remember laughing, and it, made my heart feel good.
Mm-hmm.
And I know we don't do that a lot here because we just want to talk about like Marvel or Star Wars or whatever horror movie guys you're like.
Or I want to talk about it,
yeah.
and you.
So like,
have
God forbid, I just like, let's go down a different path and just shake things up.
Yeah.
I find it very satisfying when early on in the movie he's getting bullied by that like younger kid and pushed in the water, and he can't swim, and Shia LaBeouf just comes up and punches him in the face. Yeah. Super satisfying.
Love a kid getting his comeuppance.
We don't get enough of adults beating children. Yeah. Or, I mean, we do, but it's always just like, oh, my dad or whatever. Yeah. It's like, well, fuck your dad. Yeah, but like, no, it's like sometimes you should hit that kid.
Yeah, absolutely. Like in Step Brothers, they beat up a bunch of kids, don't they? Yeah.
Because they made them eat dog turd or lick a turd, whatever.
Yeah.
Or your favorite movie, Billy Madison.
Yeah,
Dodgeball.
But did you guys ever watch the movie Mud with Matthew McConaughey?
I think I saw that in theaters.
Yeah. Mud's another movie. I don't know. I think there's some like charm about. None of us are from the South.
Yeah, you like dirty mud people.
Dirty mud people, I think, are fun. Yeah, I think there's some sort of seeing a world that we don't normally see, and not because normally when we see that world, it's always from the point of like racism or like stupidity or whatever, like the stereotypes of the South. But here is like three good people from the South who are treating another human being as a human being that has like nothing to do with like race or religion or whatever. It's just like, how do we as people come together and find each other and all that good stuff. And just the fact that it was under 2 hours and just made me feel good and made me laugh throughout the whole thing. I just thought it was just a real sweet nice surprise, and I think they should make more movies like it. Because it's very easy to go down the like try and make you feel good and it's cheesy or preachy or whatever. I never really felt that movie that this was what it was doing. And yeah, I just really, really enjoyed it, and I'm glad you guys didn't hate it.
I think my favorite joke, but it's kind of unfair because it became a sound used on TikTok a lot, where he's like, "Hey, what's the number one rule? Party? No, not party." And that's been used a bunch of times. So I didn't know it was from that, and just hearing TikTok sounds in the real world is kind of jarring, but that did make me laugh.
I also wasn't sure how you guys would take. Well, I don't think Nick would care, but we talked about Dakota Johnson on Madam Web, and you're like, I don't think she's very good at all. So like, I know you're not a big fan, and Shia LaBeouf is a very troubled man who I think you don't care for either. So like, here's a bunch of people in a movie you don't like. Would you care for it? But I'll take it.
Yeah.
So before we move on, what grade would you give it?
I think I give it a C+, because it is just like, yep, this is a road movie about discovering yourself, and I could see kind of where the beats were. And as soon as he was saying like, the special move, that was all smoke and mirrors, and they've been talking about how strong he is, of course he's going to do the move. Not a very surprising movie, but not a bad watch. So like, C+. It doesn't go above, and B- just if you want to really say how great the acting was, but I'm going to stick with my C+.
All right.
And Nick, you rate 1 through 10. You don't abide by our rules.
Yeah, I mean, I was just gonna probably give it the same as you, but maybe I'll use my scale and I'll be generous, and I would say maybe like a 7 out of 10, which is very positive. Yeah.
I'd say a 7 out of 10 is like a B, right?
Yeah, C+, B-, it should be right in there.
Well, like 5 would be a C, wouldn't it?
It depends on how you use that scale, because in like the school system, I think a 50 could still be a C,
failing, yeah,
or be an F. I mean, so it's just like, well, then 1 through 5 don't really count.
Yeah.
So it's really how you want to use it.
Think of it like Rotten Tomatoes. You know, like Rotten Tomatoes would be a 70 wouldn't be fresh, and it'd still be fresh. It wouldn't be like certified fresh, but it'd still be fresh. Yeah. And that's what I'd give it.
Okay.
Yeah.
Sounds good. All right, well, let's move on to my pick, The Rules of Attraction, written by Bret Easton Ellis, or at least the book was, same guy who wrote American Psycho, which, did you hear they're going to remake that? Like, they're shopping it around, and then some people are like, oh, like, who's gonna play Patrick? And a lot of people are like, oh,
Zoe Kravitz.
Like, do a gender swap thing.
Just kidding.
And then people were saying like, oh, Aubrey Plaza, and it's like, no, she's too silly to do it. I could just see them casting like Glenn Powell, someone so boring, just, you know, an attractive guy who could probably blend in. You know, it's just, that's so
from
boring.
A visual standpoint, it makes sense.
Yeah, it's not needed. What else are you going to do except add more music stuff? Because that's what the book is. It's like a chapter of music, and a chapter of business, and then a chapter of something horrifying, and then a chapter of music, and it just does that. Like, you could add more of the horrible shit he does in that book, but I don't know. That book just, it was adapted well with a really great cast, so... Anywho, different movie altogether. Rules of Attraction. I saw this just like, I think my buddy worked at a Hollywood Video and was just picking up all the new releases, and this was just a random thing, and it blew my freaking mind. We'll start, Nick.
Oh. So we're just...
give us a synopsis of the movie, and then Steve could do the synopsis for yours.
It's what a hard... It's like
you gave him the hardest one.
Yeah, like this movie is like... It's all over the place. It's like people in college, they're all mostly scumbags pining over each other, and most of the people that they're pining over are pining over another person. It's them partying, a lot of debauchery. I don't know if there's like one solid overarching plot. I don't even know if I could pull a meaning from this movie other than like... Yeah, I don't even know. Honestly, I don't know the exact point of this movie. That's not to say I didn't like it. I'm just saying it's just kind of there.
Yeah, it definitely doesn't have a, here's our hero, here's our villain, this is the driving force that we have to get to. It's just, this is a year of these college students' lives. Yeah. And I don't think you're really supposed to get more than that, because the movie starts in the middle of a sentence and the movie ends in the middle of the sentence. It's just, we took one section of these people's lives and this is what it is. Take what you want from it, but this is just what happened.
Yeah, and I respect that a little bit more as I look back on it. I would say, like, while I was watching the movie, I was just, I wouldn't say frustrated, but I was just kind of like, what is the point of any of this movie? Like, yeah, I don't even know if I liked it. Honestly, like, I watched it like 4 hours ago, and I still don't know if I really liked it or not. I don't want to say that I disliked it. I do respect the abrupt ending because I like endings like that.
I always, when I first saw it, I took it as he wrecked his bike because it's snowing. He's emotional. He's on his bike. He wrecks his bike. Can't finish his thought because he died. Yeah. But I read the book for this, and the book does do the same thing. Starts in the middle of a sentence, ends in the middle of a sentence. So it's just being faithful.
If I could say like my biggest praise or like my biggest like takeaway as of now from that movie is just seeing a lot of the people that are in it.
Yeah.
It's a lot of people that I haven't seen a lot in a while that used to be in a lot of movies.
Yeah. They were hyped for one time, but never really maintained it.
A very 2000s cast. Even like seeing Fred Savage for just like a quick moment, even though I hate seeing people do heroin and I hate seeing people do stuff like that, and that irked me. It was still really funny and random to see him in that scene, especially when it's like he's just trying to get money back from him. He's just like doing a really good job of like beating around the bush kind of. I like Shannon Sossamon. I know that you don't like her that much.
Yeah, I'm just like, she bugs me a little bit, and it was at a time everyone's like, this is the hottest woman in Hollywood, and I just don't see it.
Is it the hair? She always has like a weird haircut.
And she has really stupid hair in this.
Yeah.
It's part of it, probably, yeah. But I think she's good in this. I like her in this.
I would say she's like Probably. I mean, there's not really one main character other than maybe, I guess, James Vanderbeek's.
Yeah.
What was what was his first name? One of the Batemans?
Sean Bateman.
Sean Bateman?
Patrick Bateman's
That sounds
brother.
right.
Yeah.
I guess he's the main character, but there really isn't
There's
anyone.
Like the three, and then you have Ian Somerhalder and his thing, but he's like lesser than. But then you even get like a whole section of that guy who does his European trip,
the
Victor
montage was one of my favorite moments, just because it's just like, I bet this was a little tough to do, like him just going through
all that stuff. Yeah. It's not like they just rapidly say everything; you see everything.
It just seems so fun. It's just like, I wish I could go through something like that once before I die. Like that just sounds like a crazy, hazy, like few weeks of his life. So I did like that. I don't know if I even entirely understand. I know it said like I forgot who I was when I came, but like the fact that he didn't remember Shannon Salzman at all was strange.
It's like, did he not remember her, or was he just being a piece of shit trying to get like, oh, I'm gonna bang this girl. I can't deal with this right now, so I don't care if I cut that tie.
I guess you don't know.
You don't know because they're all scummy.
Yeah, I don't think you're meant to like any of these people, which is fine. I'm not one of those people who's like, oh, these characters were so unlikable, I hate this movie. Man, Jessica Biel looking real good.
It was like the start of her, like, I'm not gonna be the good girl from Seventh Heaven anymore.
Yeah. I guess James Vanderbeek too, probably coming off Dawson's Creek. I was reading something after because I'm not gonna lie, the first thing I googled when I finished this movie was like, what was the point of this movie? And some of the stuff that came up was like just talking about the cast and how like some of them, Jessica Biel, James Vanderbeek, like included, were like using this as a movie, as a vehicle to like get out of that Seventh Heaven, that Dawson's Creek, that teen idol image a little, and drop that a little bit. And what a movie for that.
And it tanked in the box office, so
I could see why. I could see why. It's definitely not going to be for everybody.
Steve, what do you think before we like start hammering on certain plot points? What do you think of this movie? Oh yeah, we didn't roll, but tough shit. It's done.
I'm here. It's great.
So I'll go a little bit farther than Nick and say I didn't like this movie, really at all. And to preface that, I mean, this is a movie I think you bring up once a year in our friendship. I just comes up organically. We were talking about movies because we always talk about movies, and we get on something and it's like, then Rules of Attraction comes up. And I just remember you talking about like the suicide scene. And so that's the only part I knew that was like coming. Because the rest of the movie I didn't really know what was going to happen. And for me, just like from the jump, I'm like, I don't know if I like this. Just the
rewind shit.
I mean, I appreciate that there was some directorial choices that were like different. I think that's the one major compliment I'll give the movie, is that it's like, oh, he tried some stuff with the rewind, with the Victor character's European trip, and like how that was all done. Like that was kind of fun. So that stuff I appreciate that stuff. Everything else I didn't care for. I thought the script was horrendous and just really poorly acted across the board.
Really?
I didn't really like anyone in this movie. I think James Vanderbeek is a weird pick. I mean, I like the idea of taking these young CW actors and then putting them in this like heavily R-rated. It just seems like this movie was written by a teenager who just was like, oh, must be what college is like, where everyone curses and bangs each other and all that, like just writing the craziest thing they could write. But none of it really connects or makes much sense. Because I mean, the movie basically opens on a rape, and then it never seems to like affect her in any way. But also in the movie, she's like blowing her teacher.
Well, that doesn't affect her because that's the end of the year.
Well, sure, okay.
So you don't get to see the effect of that.
That's true.
That's the grim outcome. You see her the whole time trying to abstain, trying to be good, and then inevitably, she's gonna lose her virginity to some fucking dude.
Yeah. So just there's all this awful stuff that happens to her, and you never get any sort of like catharsis with her or like any sort of hope. It's just like, here's a bunch of terrible stuff that happened to me this semester, and then James Vanderbeek is a total piece of shit, and like just I think in the early scene, the way he like stares at Kate Bosworth, where they do that thing where you like kind of tilt your head down to like make yourself look scary. Yeah. And it's just like, it just didn't look right to me. And then you just cut to him just like having sex with her, and it's just like it's like the dentist face from It's Always Sunny, and just like, oh. And my least favorite scene in the entire movie, I think, is the Clifton Collins Jr. introduction.
Oh yeah, oh God. I love that too.
No, I mean, I love Clifton Collins Jr. typically, just as one of those actors who's like in stuff. You're like, oh, it's cool to see him. Yeah. But just his delivery of fucker just 30 times in the span of a minute, just
he's
like
a coked up menace.
Yeah, you owe me $30 motherfucking motherfucker. I'll fucking kill you and all your motherfuckers. Yeah, it's just like, dude, what is this? I couldn't tell if it was just like good acting, I mean, or bad acting, or like on purposely trying to be bad. I don't know. But yeah, there's Ian Somerhalder's character. Like, you don't really do anything with that character.
Yeah.
Is that the gay? I was just say guy, at least. Get that.
But it's just like,
I voted
blue. It's Euphoria meets 13 Reasons Why, but like without any of the quality. And you have the big suicide scene of this character who is always in the background the whole time, but like, why do I care about her at all? And I thought, like, I remember you telling me like the scene is so graphic. Maybe I saw a cut.
No, 2B version.
Yeah, the 2B version, like edited.
No,
I've seen way worse.
I wasn't saying that it was graphic. I said that was one of the only scenes that almost made me cry.
Oh, okay.
Because I was stoned out of my head, and I felt so sorry for this girl.
But you didn't even know her.
I know, exactly. She was just like in the background the whole time. She thought she was professing her love, and he had no idea who she was, and she was so in such a state that she couldn't even, continue living. And I was just like,
I just didn't understand like why that wasn't the Shannon Sossaman character or something. Because like, here's this person who's going through all this awful stuff, who just wants love of somebody. Like, she should have killed herself when Victor came back. And I'm just like, I don't even know you. And then like, that is a character who, of all the characters in the movie, you root for because you know she's a good person. But just bad stuff happens to her. And then I didn't like anything really about this movie. I didn't think it was like all that interesting or deep. It was just like, I want to write a movie about fucked up people doing fucked up shit, and that's kind of it. And I don't know if like the Bret Easton Ellis book is good. I like American Psycho, but it's been so long since I've seen it. I wasn't like, American Psycho is one of my favorite movies of all time, but I watched it and I like that. But this just did absolutely nothing for me. But it was cool seeing all the young cast. So that's great.
Well, you say that the writing is really bad, but this was written by Roger Avery, who wrote, Beowulf, but don't hold that against him. Silent Hill, Pulp Fiction, Reservoir Dogs, True Romance. Like, this isn't just Joe Schmo, He wrote and directed it, so
I can see your face. You're just like, yeah, it's a fuck.
So what? Like, there's people who have written classics and they write dog shit books, or there's actors who like, oh man, he made Francis Ford Coppola, he made The Godfather, right? Yeah, he also made Megalopolis or whatever. Yeah. So shut the fuck up.
I just like, Tarantino is known for like his really good dialogue, and this is one of the guys that helps him with that. And then,
are you sure?
I'm sure. I'm looking at his IMDb right now. He hasn't directed a whole lot of stuff I care about, but definitely wrote.
I was reading about because that suicide scene just irked me, because I don't need to see them slit their exact veins down to with the razor and everything. But it's funny to hear you say that was one of. I know you said you were high or whatever, but as somebody who regularly cries in sad movies, that didn't do anything for me because we didn't see anything about that character until post her dying. And prior to that, we didn't even know who she was. So how was I supposed to feel anything other than here's this random person killing herself in a bathroom, and then Shannon Osman comes in and sees her and may or may not have pulled her out of the tub for a second. I don't know if that was in her head.
Yeah, I think that was her going like, I need to do something, and this is what I need to do, and then realizing she's just panicking and did nothing.
Yeah, I would assume probably, because what a dumb thing. Leave the body where it is. Mm-hmm. But, yeah, I didn't care about that scene at all, other than having to look away at someone cutting their veins. Because, I mean, I get what, like, afterwards, it's like, oh, it was that lunch girl trying to give him the food, and cool, I guess. I don't know. I didn't care at all. Definitely no moment in this movie made me feel any sort of emotion, really, personally.
Wow.
Yeah.
Okay.
It does, I want to say, as you defend it a little bit, it does have a 44%. That's not necessarily the worst, but and it does have like a higher audience score. So I mean, there are normal people who seem to enjoy it, but yeah, I'm not saying I don't think I disliked it as much as Steve, but it is not a movie. Like, I am surprised that of all the movies that you could recommend, that was the one. Because I think earlier in our friendship, you recommended Leon the Professional as well, which I like probably more than this, but I also don't love. So, but I mean, to each his own, and everyone's different. So, you know, that's the beauty of life. Art.
Well, that's a damn shame. I think this is
your first failure on Minivan, because the other ones I appreciated to some degree.
I think this is really well acted. Some of the performances may be a little over the top, but I think everybody does an excellent job. Especially what's her fucking name from Seventh Heaven?
Jessica Biel.
Yeah.
I think Jessica Biel's the best in this. She's the best I've ever seen her.
Fucking worse. Like, she's such a scumbag. Just like how she treats her friends, and she's awful. But I think everyone's good. I think music has really great soundtrack, a soundtrack that I used to own and listen often. I think the camera work when they're talking to each other and it's two shots of them side by side and then it peels out.
Yeah, I liked that moment.
That's good. The whole European thing. I think when she's killing herself, the music starts getting warbly, like she's losing consciousness and the camera's tilting. I don't know. I think this is a really expertly made movie.
I have no complaints with the direction of the movie.
Yeah.
It's just everything else I didn't like.
I mean, you don't have to love your characters that you're watching, and I don't think you're meant to love really any of these people. It's just a moment in time for these people, and you're just watching.
And maybe had I seen this movie when it came out, or like I was in the age demographic, it could be just a product of its time.
Sure. So many people watch Pulp Fiction now and go, "What's the big deal?" And it's like, because you've seen a million movies that have stolen everything from that. So this looks like a baby's movie compared to it.
Yeah, but just too little, too late for me.
Oh,
sorry,
that's a shame. Fuck you guys. All right. Let's move on to Nick's pick. Nick, what did you make us watch? And then Steve, you can give us a synopsis for it.
So I made you guys watch Police Story. I will say from the jump, this was like, just off the top of my head, trying to find a movie that was on streaming services that you guys all had. Of course, I own this movie, but I wasn't going to be able to see you guys to let you both borrow it in time.
Did you bring my movie back with you?
Oh God, it's right on my dresser too.
It's fine.
But I have it, obviously. I sold it.
Got 7 cents for it.
Yeah, I chose Police Story, full well knowing that this is not a genre that either of you delve into regularly. I know that Hong Kong cinema is not something that you all dive into, but I was hoping that at least you guys would be able to at least appreciate the action aspects of it, because it is very highly regarded as, you could look up lists of best action movies of all time, and it doesn't matter, international, non-international, in general, it regularly falls on that list. So I just wanted to throw it on there. I know probably both of you, I know Ben at least has seen a lot of the famous stunts from it. That comes with what we were just saying, if we saw it when you first saw it come out, whatever. It is from like 89, 84. I actually think it's 84. So yeah, you've probably seen some of the big moments from it. But yeah, I recommended that movie, so I'll let you, I guess, Steve, yeah.
Yeah, what's the synopsis for this, Dave?
Police Story stars Jackie Chan as a detective something. Yeah, I'm not going to even mispronounce it. He's Jackie Chan. And he, after a botched police raid, must protect a young witness against the crime lord who they're trying to put away. And all the troubles that come with protecting a witness from this crime syndicate, and it's just a non-stop action thrill ride. Pretty straightforward. There's not much to it other than that.
Yeah, I agreed. There isn't much to this movie. You take out all the action, and I hate it. All the comedy is unfunny, and I think takes you out of the movie. All the action sequences are amazing, especially the car fight when they're trying to escape and there's like 6 guys and he's just using the car to advantage. Jackie Chan is great with that found object sort of fighting, and he does make good comedy. I don't mind a comedy martial arts. It's totally possible. Happens all the time. But this one was so unfunny. In every scene that wasn't a big action scene, I was just like stamping my foot, just like, let's get to the next. Or like the whole section where he ruins his surprise birthday party, and there's the miscommunication about what he's doing with the girl because the recorder is going on. All that was so cringy and hard to watch. And then there's a talented scene of him answering a bunch of phones, but it doesn't add anything to the story. And it's just like, let's fucking go. And I knew the big mall scene at the end. And it's like, last 15 minutes of this, it's like, we are going to make you wait until the very, very last second. There's just these huge droughts in the middle that I think add nothing to the story, really, because there's not much of a story here. And this is a movie that you can just watch highlight reels of. There's some things in there I agree with, but I will say, I think this movie's dope. I had a good time. I really enjoyed it. Now, problems with it, yeah, I think that there's some music cues I don't like. Definitely dated. There is the comedy aspect, which I don't necessarily know if I think is bad. I think it doesn't fit in this movie, because it's like, here you have this very serious crime drama action flick, and then undercut it with like Charlie Chaplin like humor, which in some regards I can respect. Like Jackie Chan, we all grew up with him doing Rush Hour movies, which is like kind of the same vibe. It was a comedy action movie, but I think that comedy works a lot more because you also have like Chris Tucker as a foil. I think those movies are comedies that have action. Yes. This is an action police story with comedy in it.
I think this movie, if you cut out the comedy and replaced it with like character work and real drama, it could have been kind of like the Raid 2 of its time.
Okay.
That might not be like the best example, but like something where all the way through it was consistent tonally. And I think that there's some acting in this that is, and part of it could just be like, one, the time, and two, just translation issues from like how we expect acting over here versus over there. But sometimes watching, I'm like, I don't think they're very good actors in this particular scene. That being said, I think that the action is so good that it kind of makes up for a lot of that. And I think it's shot really well. Like everything's very wide shots for like big portions of the movie. So like it's always in frame. You're never like tricked in the eye. I think that there's some parts where they kind of like speed up the frame rate a little bit. Where I'm just like, you could have just slowed it down and it would have looked just as fine, I think.
You got to keep it wide because like you can't do too much of a close up. You may miss what Jackie Chan is doing. And we have our 7 cameras on it, and we need every shot humanly possible. Don't zoom in too close.
Because at the beginning of this movie, you have the big shootout scene, or like the shanty town. And at first, I was like, okay, this is a little silly, like this old timey, like bing, bing, bing,
And nobody knows how to shoot a gun. They're just like wildly just like pointing it anywhere. Nobody's lining up a shot. They're just
So for like the first 5 minutes, I was like, I don't know about this, but then they're just taking cars through the town, like reckless a bit, like just destroying these people's lives. And it was so cool.
Didn't they do it in the Fast and the Furious?
Bad Boys 2.
Oh, Bad Boys 2. Okay.
And it like that whole
Fast and Furious 5. I think there's a little bit of it.
Oh, okay.
And that whole thing just looked great and
all
was
practical.
All practical, a lot of fun, and just him like being on the bus on the umbrella and everything, and just like the bus slamming on the brakes and the guys going out the front window. It all looked fantastic, and it's so fun. The fight scene by the car was really good. Like we've already said, and everyone knows, Jackie Chan is the master of like using the environment against his enemies, and not just picking up a broom and beating a guy with it, but using the broom in a fun way or whatever it is.
Getting on that clothes rack and doing that spinning thing.
So cool.
Love that shot.
Yeah. The mall, it's kind of like, we talked about Equalizer 2, I think it was. And you're like, oh, I got so excited to see someone like use Home Depot to their advantage.
I think that's Equalizer 1. Because I haven't seen 2.
Yeah.
Okay, whatever it was. And it's like, oh, well, he's using the entire mall to his advantage, and just, I don't know. This movie is fucking sweet. I had a good time. It does have its issues, but I think it still holds up. I think it's great.
His whole purpose in this is to guard this woman, this witness for it. And by the end of it, it all is played for a joke. The wrong things got recorded. He looks like some weird pervert in court, and then that's gone away. The whole point of the movie was to protect her, and now we're done with it. And if you look on IMDb, the plot is like when he gets framed for the murder of another cop, which does not happen until the last half hour of it. That needed to be moved up, and then him being on the run with her, they're saying, no, you got to give her back. Like, I think this could have been a tighter, more interesting story, but I think it's all in service of stupid gags and not really having any story to care about. Because I don't really know him as a character, besides he has no problem trying to sleep with this new girl after his girlfriend just tried to throw a birthday party for him. Is he really that good of a guy?
Yeah, I think I also would have appreciated if they spent some more time with the villain, because I don't remember his name or if he had a name really. And it was just kind of like businessman is bad. But the only scene I would say I didn't like is the fake assassination scene.
Nah,
it was like of all the unfunny stuff,
yeah,
I thought this was the most ridiculous and silly.
At least until you realize that it is fake.
Well, sure.
At first you think he's a killer and this is the most annoying killer. Just fucking do it already. But then it becomes this Weekend at Bernie's sort of thing, and he has to play it off. And I think that is a better comedy bit than any of the other comedy.
Okay.
And if they held on to that in some way, I don't know how you make a whole movie out of that, but I want to see more of that and not, backing into a cactus and, dumb cake stuff.
Fair enough. But yeah, B. You know what? B plus. I'll go B plus. Okay. A low B plus, but a B plus nonetheless.
There's no such thing as a low B plus. A low B plus is a B. I gave it a B minus because it is very impressive. He's good at what he does. He's a charismatic actor. I just didn't care about this character in this story.
I'm not going to sit here and defend one of the best action movies of all time. I will say this. If you don't watch these kind of movies very often, I could see where you would say you were quote unquote cringed at some of the attempts at humor, but this is a cultural difference. Their humor, especially, if you go back to American movies in the 80s, their humor is a little more silly than we are now. If you watch a lot of Hong Kong cinema, you can tell even our lightest jokes would be dark humor to them. They are just silly. They're just silly. I understand, you could watch that and be like, this is awful. But I also just watched a movie where you had two gay guys jumping around on a bed in their underwear for 45 seconds straight. And, that made me cringe, too. So
talk about
that's a great scene. I love that character.
That is not a great scene. I had a guy jerking off into a pillow for 45 seconds, too. So, what makes you cringe and what makes me cringe might be a little different. But I will say this, and just
Joy makes
I will say this. It's not one of my favorite movies or anything like that. I just picked a movie that I know is well regarded in a genre that I'm a big fan of. And that actually was another movie that I picked first, but you guys didn't have the streaming service for it, both of you at least. That I knew both, like, I'm 100% positive you guys would like that movie more than Police Story. That being said, I'm glad to hear that, you guys were able to at least appreciate the action and the stunts from it. I do wish you had not seen some of them prior, but it did come out like 30 years ago, yeah. So, it is what it is. There are, I don't know if you guys know this, there are 4 Police Story movies, and then there's also reboots of it.
With Jackie Chan or with someone else?
They're all with Jackie Chan.
Wow.
And even the most recent one I have not seen myself. But all of them have their pros and cons, but most of the pros are similar to what you guys enjoyed about this movie, which is the action, the stunts, him using his environment, and that's just what he's known for. So I'm glad that you're at least able to take that away from it. I know, at least with Ben now, that this is not a genre for him. Because...
Just give me a better story. That's all I care about. There's barely a story to this. You give me good action with a story. But you take something like The Raid, where it is just go up a building and stop the bad guys. But it's like, that's all it is. That's all it needs to be. And you're showcasing the action. This wants to have a bigger story in a bunch of characters, but I'm not invested in any of it because it's all placed around silly bullshit.
Look, I like The Raid a lot more than Police Story. 100%.
I hope so.
But I also think there are like 3 scenes and then this 100-minute runtime where it plays for comedy. Maybe 3.5.
But they're long scenes.
Yeah, maybe. But it definitely doesn't bother me, but I think I'm desensitized to it because this is a genre that I visit very often. Mm-hmm. But also, to your story note, and I don't know if anybody knows this. Well, anybody who listens to your stuff regularly would know. I gave you Hard Boiled before, mm-hmm. And Hard Boiled is like Departed, like backstabbing, betraying, undercover, twists, turns, and you didn't care for that movie either. So I don't know if I'm buying the story aspect of it. I think this is just not a genre for you.
That is a better movie than this. 100%.
100%. But if you look at like most list of best action movies of all time, both of those movies will land on. So I think maybe any drop of like foreign comedy might just not be your.
But then you take something like Kung Fu Hustle. That's very silly through the whole thing.
Way more westernized than this.
But like I enjoyed that. I think with Hard Boiled, the thing that bothered me, like I'd have to go back and listen to what I said, but. I don't think the story really bothered me. Like, the action is good, but it's to an excess that becomes ridiculous. And it's mostly firearm action and not hand-to-hand stuff. So it gets a little repetitive, just bang, 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 and people just flying everywhere through glass. It's like, this is cool, but I don't need that much of it.
And that is an opinion I can understand. If you were just straight up come at me with like, I prefer hand-to-hand martial arts as for my action in these type of movies as opposed to shootouts, that's fine. Had you said that to me prior, I probably wouldn't given you a movie like Hard Boiled, which is like known for its best shootouts ever put on the film ever. But yeah, like I said, not going to talk about Hard Boiled. I'm glad that you both relatively didn't hate this movie, and yeah. Hopefully, in the future, I can give you guys I Saw the Devil, mm-hmm, which was my initial reaction, or my initial submission, and I think you guys will both enjoy that movie. I'm pretty confident.
Cool. Well, 3 very different movies of varying quality. You can't even probably find connective threads between any of them. But Steve, you wanted to touch on something?
It's not really that important, but I totally forgot about it because you get the only part of Ian Somerhalder's whole storyline that I was just like, where I just remember going like, what the fuck am I watching? It's not them dancing on the bed because like whoever this character is, like his mom's friend's son, who like they hook up sometimes or whatever, comes back from wherever, but. Like them at the fancy dinner, and he's over there just like tweaking or whatever, and just being a total like
it's just making it uncomfortable for the moms. And...
Yeah, I I hated that scene. I hated that scene so much just because it like talk about cartoony and out of place. Like not that it necessarily felt out of place in this movie where all this other like ridiculous kind of stuff is happening, but it felt like I was watching like a young Gary Busey, but like showed up to set, didn't realize he was on a movie set, and was just being a total fucking dickhead. Mm-hmm. And just after that scene was over, I was like, what the fuck just happened? Like, what was this?
He's not in any other part of the movie.
Not in any other part of the movie. I looked up that actor to see if he was in other stuff in case, like, but I think this might have been like his only movie he really did.
Just stop by and say he actually was shit-faced.
Yeah, and I was just like, I don't even have words because I don't know. I hated that scene and I hate that guy, and I'm glad he never acted again because this whole scene was atrocious. It wasn't funny.
Not even when she was asking him about like how's school, and he said something about like I'm taking class on like sucking cocks.
Yeah. Just the whole line. Like I can see why other people would enjoy it, but just from I don't even know how to react to it.
I think one of the funniest parts of that is like him finally leaving and he smacks the table and just goes, "Have a good one." And like me and my friends, that's like the way of exiting a room for a while.
Yeah, I laughed quite a bit at that scene actually.
Cool. All right. Well, thanks guys for suggesting movies and stuff. You know, the weirder the better. I like the variety. Don't make me wait till the last minute next time, Steve. I had to watch this like on my phone while I was eating lunch today, so to fit it in. Okay, cool. If you have any movies that you want to make us watch, we'll dedicate an episode to that. Give us 2 to 3 movies. I can't guarantee we'll watch all of them, but hey, you know, maybe see things out you think we would like or maybe hate, a la The Wrong Missy. So if you want to get in contact with us, we are at WRPLpodcast@gmail.com. We're on Instagram, TikTok, Twitter, and Threads. As always, and Nick, do you want to give any shout outs or plugs? I forgot to ask you last time you were here.
I guess I have been trying to use my TikTok a little bit more. So I think my TikTok is Nick_AF91. I do a lot of movie related stuff. So if that's what you're into. A lot of unboxings, new release stuff, new release talk, reviews, etc.
Yep. And as always, I'm Ben.
And I'm Steve.
And keep consuming.